Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Life from the Inside Out with Kris. Before we begin with Kris's unparalleled metaphysical content, I know that many of you watching have felt a sense of being ungrounded, unhinged, or out of balance in these times. I know. I've felt this way too. Kris's teachings have similarities to popular ideas such as the law of attraction and the secret. The difference is that Kris's knowledge goes even deeper into reality creation and helps resolve many of the problems identified with the law of attraction. The information he shares helps restore grounding and that sense of balance that many of us have lost in these times. If you're ready for the law of attraction and secret 2.0 and want to be a part of this fantastic community, then hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment below, and press the bell icon so that you get notified when Kris releases cool, new metaphysical content. Kris also offers life-changing online seminars, private sessions, and mentoring sessions, which are all linked in the description below. Glad you're here with us, and let's jump into it.
Oh, for sure. I just have one question. So it almost kind of reflects my life where I have been going towards, academia, research, and out of my control. So I thought I couldn't continue that, and I always felt for a long time I felt quite remorseful that I couldn't do that. And now I am totally interested in running a business, which has never been my. However, what I want to say is, what I want to ask is like, I felt that those events were outside of myself, that, I would love to actually go and do my research and follow my dreams of going higher in education, but it didn't happen. However, now looking back, I there would be a disaster, and I'm actually so much happier now. So I wasn't really cognizant about those choices, like you were saying, Kris. Um, so in other words, like, is my inner self drove me somewhere else against my will.
Well, we do want to emphasize that you are not a sock puppet for your inner self. You are not a marionette for some higher spiritual power. In fact, your higher self, which can also be considered your future,
That's a good point.
would send you the kind of impulses that you would need to fulfill your own personality, to feel that inner strength that can only come from life on your own terms. And it is quite possible that another focus of yours, another probable self of yours, has become a successful lawyer or has become a successful this and that.
Hmm.
But for your particular self, you had unknown desires and direction. So your inner self simply sent you the necessary impulses to take actions to lead you into what you are good at.
Okay, so here's my question. Those unknown desires, how can we get to know those desires? No, become, like it doesn't feel like it's out of my, control, and I'm being pushed this way or that way,
Hmm.
you know?
That in itself is most interesting. Everyone has, as we suggested, hundreds of desires, hundreds of ideas, hundreds of thoughts on a daily basis. It does not ever end. Even when you end this particular lifetime, you still have ideas, thoughts, and so on and so forth. So you would, like most individuals, have several things going on all at once, but you might select this, that, and the other thing, and not all the others. And very often, family, parents, family, relatives all think that it is their views that they know what is best for you. And it does not necessarily mean that this is a bad thing, but it does give you the opportunity to reevaluate how you match with those particular ideas that they are offering or not. So this requires a certain kind of self-reflection. Is this truly what I want, or do I think I want it because these other people that are important in my life want that for me? So again, self-reflection is very, very important. A little bit of self-knowledge goes a long way. And it, again, does not mean that what the others might think would be good for you is a bad thing. They might also be spot on, but you are the one that has to determine that for yourself. And you might even try some ideas offered to you, even though you are not certain of the fit or the match here. And some of it may be right on, and some other parts may simply fall off the wayside. It just does not really fit or match who you are as a personality. So again, a little bit of self-reflection and go a long way in identifying what is good for you. Many young folks going through the educational systems go through certain kinds of orientation to help perhaps direct their thoughts in what would be a good match for something about their future. It does not necessarily always work to the advantage of the individual in that sense of the word, but sometimes, even if it is, say, a match that no longer works, that too might have been a good choice because it would definitely help you orient your own thoughts and ideas finally to something that works well for you. Think of it as going shopping at Zara for clothes. So you will try this on, you will try that on, you will try this dress, you will try that skirt, you will try that jacket, you'll try that blouse. Yes, this looks more like me. This does not look like me. And you might even be uncertain. I am not too sure about this particular blouse, or this skirt, these shoes. I will take them anyways and try them on. And you might decide, yes, this is fine, or no, it really is not the best fit, so you return them. So these are small actions, but they help determine a little bit more who and what you are and how you feel about yourself. Does that make some sense to you?
Yeah, for sure. I wish just we were thought this a little bit earlier on like elementary school about the technologies in consciousness, how to trust and not fight. Because I put a big fight.
Your system, your educational systems do not necessarily want you to trust your intuitions and your impulses, because that might take you outside the stream of that system. You might become a free thinker, and sometimes a free thinker is not always welcome, because a free thinker might lead others to think freely for themselves.
Mm.
And that sometimes creates situations where the boat is rocked. So you don't want to rock the boat too much. But what you really need is the boat completely flipped over sometimes. That is usually how you find yourself in ways you never thought possible for yourself.
Or
Does that
maybe,
make sense to you?
yes, or several times, for sure.
If you look back, and this applies to everyone, not just you here, but even people who will watch this and listen to this, when you look back at the events and circumstances of your external life, as well as the events and circumstances of your inner life, your feelings, emotions, and imaginings. Now, you might, on the one hand, think, oh, I made some terrible decisions. I should never have done this. I should not have done that. I wish I had known how to avoid that. But all of these were not put on your path to block you or trip you up, you also generated and created those situations because you needed to find the proper conditions under which you could grow. So, for instance, if you take a tropical plant that is used to a very humid climate, say a little house plant from Borneo that is accustomed to high humidity environments, and you decide to put it in a southern or western exposure where it will get scorched, what do you think will happen to that plant? Indeed. And then, like many houseplant aficionados, who say, "Oh, woe is me, my poor plant does not like me." That is not the issue. When you understand what the conditions are required for this plant to thrive, you create a little humid environment for it, and it will thrive. Just the same for you. So you try out different environments over your lifetime, and suddenly you found the right conditions. You created the right conditions because everything else in the past was necessary to set up the foundation for what you need to be as a person today. So nothing is wasted. Nothing is regretted. Nothing was bad for you. They were choices. That is all. And those choices now have created who you are today. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So when you look back like this, all of a sudden you find an interesting circle of opportunities, situations, and circumstances that, in a way, were complementary to discover who you were finally.
Yeah.
You are not necessarily the result of those situations or choices. You use them to bring yourself to a particular point in life. Because as we suggested, everything begins within. That is why the series we have called Life from the Inside.
Yes, it's just somehow really dawned on me about this setting the intentions or setting some intentions, the seed of intentions in my dream state. That actually somehow
So for
dawned on me
yourself,
after
for
all those
instance,
years.
for some time, you worked in the healthcare sector
Mhm.
and you had a particular dream. You wanted a business and you had the idea to develop an esthetician practice. An idea, one little idea, and yet somehow or other, look what happened because of that idea.
Yeah, I can't keep up. Yeah. Yes, I just wish it was a little bit more, once that start manifesting, that there's ways to go with the flow, if you wish, not to build one barrier after another. So it's nice, smooth sailing.
So as we suggested earlier, you do what you need to do from your end, but you stop short of going into the abyss of worry.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that worry does is create more of the same. It has never solved any situations at all. So pull yourself back from going into worry and let your own inner universe, your inner self, you are all that is, take care of that end.
So would you say, Kris, that those worries are that create, like, reinforce the barriers that we set out for ourselves?
Worrying is
Or
itself a sign that you might feel helpless. You might feel disempowered, unable to carry your own desires to fruition. You do not have to carry your desires to fruition. You let your all that is do that. You lay out on the table all the plans that you have, and then you trust the architect, the engineers, the contractors to do the job to get you that house, going back to that analogy. You don't have to be there looking over every nail that is put into your house, every pipe, every wire. You will get in the way and you will be told, let us do our job, lady. Does that make sense?
Yes. So trust your inner self and
Because you trust the plumber and you trust the electricians to do the proper things set to code. Does that make sense?
yes, for sure. For sure.
Now, if you start worrying, oh dear, will the plumber put the right pipes in? Oh dear, will the electrician put the right wires? You will go out of your mind,
I would. I probably wouldn't
especially
be able
since
to come
most
back.
people do not know much about plumbing or wiring. So again, the idea is you do what you need to do, and then you trust that the rest will align with your needs. Indeed. So might there be another inquiry or observation?
Just I would like to follow the line of Barbara when this or we are talking. It's like if it was, as we have been taught to believe in the physical, in the material thing, no, in things we can somewhat touch, no, as the real thing, no, it's something that we know. It's like an inner knowing that this is so, but at the same time there is this kind of not trusting enough. No, it's like you can be 30 years studying these metaphysical principles and still is like new, you know, for to one part of us, or maybe because we live in a system, social system that denies that completely, and this helps to you to fear to give the step, so to speak, or until you really understand better how really it works, which is not, as you said, it's not complicated, but at the same time it's can be complex.
Indeed.
And it's
And
subtle, you
most
know.
of the complications actually come from yourselves.
Yeah, from
Indeed,
yeah.
especially when you decide to venture into the realm of worry.
Yeah,
Worry how things are going to happen, how things are going to get done, how will you get what you need. Hmm?
yeah, it
So we
seems.
are also not saying that one should become impractical. In that sense, you do what is necessary. But again, stop yourself short of venturing into worry. Always thinking, where and when will the other shoe drop? When will the carpet be pulled out from underneath me?
Yeah, it's
Because
like
that actually sets the situation for just that kind of thing to happen. So you live in a society that appears to concentrate on the externals, the material things, the physical reality. And yet, the physical side of reality is but one part. The most important part of reality, however, is the internal, the feelings, emotions, and imagination. So that actually is where your reality is. That is the realm of reality. The physical world is, for all intents and purposes, the manner in which you test out those feelings, those imaginations, and those emotions. It gives you feedback. It shows you the playground that you have created with all the things to have fun in it. But the nature of reality is such that what you experience internally, even to externalize situations, that is the source. That is source. Does that make some sense to you?
Yeah, it's I am understanding that all is one. One thing is all is kind of a physical reality. It could be seen like a dream reality, physical dream, could say, just a part.
Indeed. In fact,
And
when you dream at night, you cannot distinguish.
yeah,
Your dream
that's real.
experiences are as physical to you because you are in that particular realm or domain. And once you supposedly awaken, then you are in physical reality. But for all intents and purposes, you are in another kind of dream. So your dreaming, it never really ends. You just experience it from a different point of view.
And I have experience talking about this kind of sometimes from time to time a continuation of the dreamings that maybe have passed months and I dream to stay in the same place, or like the story continues somewhat. It's like familiar places, but in
Indeed.
dreamland. And it's like
Indeed,
you
you
are there.
might return to a dream you had in your terms, perhaps weeks ago, months ago, years ago, or decades ago, but you are back there. So you're, as we suggested earlier, you are all multidimensional beings. So you have many minds, you have many identities, many persona. You just focus on a small slice or wisp of the totality of your being. That includes realities. So you may become aware that there is another you engaging in certain dream activities that you had participated in before, without necessarily realizing that all the dreams that you have, including physical experiences, are occurring simultaneously. But your species' neural capacities do not necessarily provide the pathways necessary to experience everything, everywhere, all at once. That works for Hollywood. That is a reference to the recent movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. So it gives you an inkling of what is occurring behind the scenes of what you are busy with, what goes on behind. So if you have an opportunity, try and find the movie and watch it. It
I
will
was
perhaps
thinking about watching it. Yeah, I was
indeed,
postponed it, but yeah,
you might find it of
definitively I'm going
interest.
to. Yeah, it catch my attention because it's all at once, and I understood that it was this woman that it's in all realities at once, and it's kind of confusing for her at first. She's
Indeed. And this actress is one of Joseph's favorite actresses as well. So he will eventually watch it as well. But it is a little example, let's say the Hollywood version of that, but it will spark your curiosity. Now, we will return, Joseph, to your lovely selves, and may you experience many lovely selves everywhere, everything, all at once. And we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kris.
Thanks,
Thank
Kris.
you, Kris.
Thanks for watching, and if you would like to leave a question for Kris, drop it in the comments below. Myself, Serge, or someone from the Kris team will be checking and may use them to drive the discussion, put them in future episodes. So if you'd like to interact with the Kris community, feel free. Put your questions below, and we'd love to hear from you, and see you again next time.